Florida, the Sunshine State, land of beaches, theme parks, and a haunted highway, Interstate 4 slices through the heart of Florida. This vital artery connects Tampa to Daytona Beach. But some find something darker. I-4 is more than just a road, it's a lifeline. It fuels Florida's economy. But beneath the asphalt lies a dark history. It's the story of the I-4 dead zone. Our story begins long before the roar of engines and the glare of headlights. It starts with St. Joseph's Colony. This German settlement thrived in the 1800s. It stood where I-4 now cuts through central Florida. But fate had other plans. In the late 1800s, tragedy struck. Yellow fever swept through the colony. It was merciless. The once thriving community was decimated. The survivors faced a horrifying choice: stay and risk the same fate or abandon their homes. Today, the land is paved over, forgotten by many, but not by all. Some believe the spirits of those who perished still linger, trapped beneath the asphalt. Decades passed. The memory of St. Joseph's Colony faded into obscurity. Then came the roar of progress, the 1950s, a time of growth and expansion. Florida was booming. It needed a highway, a fast route through its heart. And so the plan for Interstate 4 was born. The proposed route cut directly through the heart of the forgotten colony, the one with the cemetery, the resting place of hundreds. But progress, it seemed, had no time for the dead. Construction began. Bulldozers roared. The earth was churned. And beneath it all lay the forgotten souls of St. Joseph's Colony. Locals say the construction was plagued with problems. Equipment malfunctioned. Accidents happened. Workers whispered of unease, a feeling of being watched. But the highway was coming. No matter the cost, the dead were not consulted. Their resting place was desecrated, their peace disturbed. And so, the stage was set for a haunting that would become as much a part of I-4 as the asphalt itself. Interstate 4 opened to the public in 1957. It was hailed as a marvel of engineering, a symbol of progress. But something was different about this highway. Something wasn't right. Drivers reported strange occurrences, unexplained events, accidents plagued certain stretches, whispers began, stories spread, word of mouth passed along tales of the I-4 dead zone. The name sent chills down spines. It became synonymous with the unexplained, the eerie, the downright terrifying. People whispered of phantom cars, vehicles appearing out of thin air. They spoke of cold spots, sudden drops in temperature, and always the feeling of being watched, of not being alone. The I-4 dead zone wasn't just a stretch of highway anymore. It was a place where the veil between our world and the next seemed thin, a place where the restless dead made their presence known. Specters in the rearview, chilling encounters on I-4. As the years passed, the stories multiplied. They grew more frequent, more intense. Motorists reported seeing shadowy figures darting across the road. Others described a feeling of dread so intense it forced them to pull over. Some even claimed to have encountered the spirits of those who died during the yellow fever epidemic. One chilling account tells of a couple driving along I-4 at night. They were alone, or so they thought. A figure appeared in their rearview mirror, a woman in a white dress. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. She stared at them, then, just as quickly as she appeared, she vanished. Another story speaks of a trucker who picked up a hitchhiker, a young woman. She was quiet, distant. She spoke of being lost and alone. The trucker, feeling compassion, offered to help. He glanced over at his passenger. She was gone, vanished, as if she had never been there at all. The Vanishing Hitchhiker, a timeless tale of terror. One story in particular has become synonymous with the I-4 dead zone. The tale of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. It's a story told and retold. Each time the details remain eerily similar. Drivers report seeing a young woman on the side of the road. She's often described as looking lost and distressed. When they stop to help, she gets in the car. She whispers a destination. Then, she vanishes. Some say she's the ghost of a young woman who died in a car accident on that very stretch of road. Others believe she's searching for something, or someone. Whatever the truth, the Vanishing Hitchhiker has become a chilling reminder of the mysteries that haunt I-4. Fury of the hurricane. In 2004, Hurricane Charlie, a powerful Category 4 storm, slammed into Florida. It left a trail of devastation in its wake. I-4 was not spared. The hurricane's fury seemed to amplify the dead zone's eerie energy. Downed trees, power lines strewn like spaghetti, the air thick with the smell of rain and something else, something unsettling. It was during the cleanup efforts that the stories took an even darker turn. Rescue workers reported seeing apparitions moving through the debris. They heard voices calling out from the wreckage, whispering their names. Was it the stress, the trauma of the storm, or did Hurricane Charlie somehow unleash something sinister within the I-4 dead zone? Paranormal Investigations seeking answers in the dead zone. The stories of the I-4 dead zone have not gone unnoticed. Paranormal investigators have flocked to this haunted stretch of highway, drawn by the tales of the unexplained. They come armed with EMF readers, EVP recorders, and cameras that can see in the dark. They've conducted vigils in the dead of night. They've attempted to communicate with the spirits said to haunt this road. And their findings? Inconclusive, but intriguing nonetheless. Some investigators claim to have captured EVPs, unexplained voices whispering on their recordings. Others have witnessed unexplained fluctuations in electromagnetic fields, cold spots, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures. While concrete evidence remains elusive, the paranormal investigations into the I-4 dead zone continue to fuel the mystery. They keep the stories alive, and they leave us with more questions than answers. Urban legend or haunted reality? You decide I-4's truth. So what's the truth about the I-4 dead zone? Is it truly haunted by the restless spirits of St. Joseph's Colony? Or is it just a spooky urban legend, a collection of tall tales and overactive imaginations? The answer, like the dead zone itself, remains shrouded in mystery. Skeptics point to the lack of concrete evidence. They argue that the stories are nothing more than folklore, embellished over time, fueled by fear and the power of suggestion. But believers remain steadfast. They point to the sheer volume of stories, the consistency of the accounts, and the undeniable feeling of unease that pervades this stretch of highway. They believe the I-4 dead zone is a place where the veil between our world and the next is thin, a place where the past refuses to stay buried. I-4 dead zone, a highway haunted. The I-4 dead zone remains one of Florida's most enduring mysteries. Whether you believe in ghosts or dismiss it all as spooky tales, there's no denying the power of this legend. It's a reminder that sometimes the past refuses to stay buried, and that even in the Sunshine State, darkness can lurk just around the bend. Next time you find yourself cruising down I-4, remember the stories. Keep your eyes peeled and listen closely. You never know what whispers you might hear on the wind. The I-4 dead zone, a place where the highway hums with more than just the sound of traffic. It hums with the echoes of a forgotten tragedy, a place where the dead may still walk among us. Editor's note: locals in the Sanford area know it's haunted, and possibly cursed. Commuters driving through the quarter-mile stretch of highway roughly halfway between Orlando and Daytona Beach, leading onto the St. Johns River Bridge over Lake Monroe, have reported a sudden drop in phone reception, static on their stories and CB radios, and the occasional apparition, zigzagging ball of light, phantom trucker or ghostly hitchhiker. And that specific area is infamous for car crashes and fatalities. In a 2007 report, WKMG Channel 6 reported the Florida Highway Patrol said nearly 440 crashes had been reported there between 1999 and 2006. On the day this section of I-4 opened in 1963, a shrimp truck jackknifed and crashed right over a certain spot, killing the driver and starting the legend. On that spot, underneath the concrete just before the highway stretches across the river, is reportedly buried 4 German immigrants who perished in the yellow fever epidemic in Florida in 1887, according to Bennett Lloyd, coordinator at the Museum of Seminole County History. The immigrants were part of a plan by Henry Sanford, head of the Florida Land and Colonization Company in 1870, to create a Roman Catholic community called St. Joseph's Colony to populate the area with workers. Only 4 families moved there, and 4 members of one family died. They were buried in the woods north of the railroad to avoid contagion, Lloyd told Fox 13. However, they were buried unshriven because their priest, who eventually succumbed to yellow fever himself, was in Tampa at the time and was unable to deliver the last rites. A man named D.V. Warren later bought the land, which had been absorbed into the Lake Monroe Township, and cleared it but left the burial site alone. A farmer named Albert Hawkins bought it from Warren in 1905, discovered the crosses and disturbed them, Lloyd said. Reportedly, his house burned down. From then on, he farmed around them. Stay tuned to Tapped Out Travel for more.